it won't be too much of a issue to catch up. But today we're here to talk about doing work you love. And one of the funny things I think about, especially American culture and probably many other cultures, we think it's about the work that we get to do. And I think it's such a small part of how much we enjoy work is the actual work. I think most of life, most of our career, it's about our perspective. What are we doing, um, and how are we doing it? Comes down to how we feel about it. If we feel like we have a mission, and let's say we work for a nonprofit, we feel this connection of helping people. We're doing it in a way where we're not gouging them for the amount of money that they have to pay. We are doing it from our hearts. I hear a lot of people talk about heart-centered work, and I think this is important. We do have to be connected, and we do have to have a sense of purpose around all the things that we do. If you go home and you're struggling with your spouse, or you're struggling with your significant other, it makes it that much harder to come in with a good attitude. And I think one of the things that I found is, when we start working on our attitude, when we start working on our perspective, we start to make little shifts that can make a big impact in our career. I've found over the years, a lot of it has been, I get this little rejection from my boss. I get pulled from a project. I, don't really understand, why, why I got pulled, why, I didn't get to do what I wanted to do. And I lose a little motivation. I lose a little sense of, oh, wow, like this is, this is something that I think that, that I'm not really enjoying anymore. And when this happens, it's very natural. It's very natural to kind of, not throw in the white towel, but kind of lose motivation, lose productivity. And then, we can keep going down that path. And I always equate it to flying an airplane, right? Like, the more you upgrade, the easier flying gets, and you have this little airplane that's really cheap. The cheap airlines, they got like stools for seats, and it's a rough ride. They don't give you water. You got to pay for it. You got to pay extra for your baggage. You got to pay extra for everything. And then when you start to move up in life, you maybe get a better ticket. You get a better airline. Something that maybe costs a little bit more, but it's worth it. And then you might get first class, and then eventually maybe you're doing so well you fly jet. But I think the best seat in the house is captain. And if you can be the captain of your life, your thoughts, you can take it in any direction that you want. You can take your career wherever you want. There are I forget the name of it. I have like so many notes, and I'm just kind of speaking from the heart right now. But there's a famous artist who she didn't start painting until her 80s, and I'm drawing a blank on her name. I'm gonna have to look her up. And she didn't start painting until her 80s, and then she, I don't know, I think it was like late 80s, she found some artistic success. People sought out her paintings. A few people started championing her. It's a tough word for me. And it's just really, what she was able to do, even in her 80s. And this is the thing with doing work you love. It can come in many shapes and sizes. In your 20s, it's completely different than um, in your 80s. It's completely different from 40s and 50s. The idea, though, is what can you do to um, make those pivots so you can do those things you love, so you can go after those things that really energize you. And one of the things I always talk about to most of my clients, it's your perspective. And you coming back full circle to the beginning of this is, we have this ability, this flexible mind to look at a situation in any way we want. We can see it for face value. We can see hidden meanings behind things. Like certain coworkers have certain ways of rubbing us the wrong way. This is natural. We're not going to get along with everybody, but what we can do is we can process it differently. We can understand where they're coming from and why they're trying to do the things that they do. This is the curiosity. We're going to cover some of that in today's workshop. And the idea is, if you can look at, what you're doing and how you're doing it, you can really, begin to peel away your layers, your inner armor, as I like to call it, or Brene Brown likes to call it armor. I try to borrow stuff from the greats, right? But the idea is, this armor that we have, we try to protect ourselves. We try to allow, we try to help ourselves really see what is going on from a truthful perspective, and if we're honest with ourselves, we're not going after things that we should be because we're afraid. And fear is a great motivator to not do things. A lot of the times fear can be a great motivator to do things too, but we're smart, right? We can see, we can project into the future, and we can see like, okay, if I do this thing, maybe my boss won't be as good if I take this other job. Maybe I won't like my coworkers as much. And these stories inside of our head, they can really paint a picture of like, no, don't go do that scary thing. It's not worth it. And this is what we have to break through. And this is why, I have my podcast, Dig to Fly, because we have to dig deep into this stuff. And the only way we're going to dig deep into this stuff is if we're willing to pause, self-reflect, talk with other people, accountability partners, coaches, family members, and allow them to help us see things that we don't see. And then we can coach ourselves. And that's another core part of today, is coaching ourselves from our inner voices. Because if you start off the day of like, here we go again, if that's your first thought, it's Groundhog's Day, especially right now where, things have lightened up a little bit in the pandemic, but we're still in it, right? We still don't know if it could go up or down. Most states seem to be doing better in the U.S., and across the world, but there are spikes. This is, the hard part, right? The mental part that we all have to deal with. We all have to process. We all have to understand, well, is this helping me make good decisions? Is this holding me back? Am I letting my fear of my comfort levels of okay, no, I can't take that other job. No, I don't want to put out resumes. No, I don't want to start a side hustle. If that's true, then we have to realize it. We have to be aware. And then we have to decide, are we going to keep living this story? This is where it gets hard. And this is where we got to dig deep. If we don't want to continue living that story out, then that's when we've got to say to ourselves, okay, what do I need to do to make changes? And so one of the things I like to, I love little stories and I love jokes. And I heard this joke, homeless man walks up to this lady and says, would you give me $1 for a sandwich? And she says, show me the sandwich first. And I love that because her perspective is completely different than what this homeless man's perspective was. She's like, okay, yeah, I'll give you $1 for a sandwich, but show it to me first. This is how we view life. We expect people to show us. We expect people to say, no, this is how it's going to be. This is the way, it's going to work out. And so, just like that homeless man thinking that if he asked for $1 for a sandwich, she's going to give it to him. She's in a whole different plane of thought. She's like, well, maybe I'll buy a sandwich from you. But it depends how good it looks, right? And so they're just in two different wavelengths. And I think a lot of times we're in two different wavelengths within ourselves. And this is so important. We have to understand how to balance these out. It's okay to have, this inner dialogue be a little bit different than your external not stories. What's the word I'm looking for here? How you're acting, right? Like, it's okay to say, okay, this is where I'm at right now. I need to work on these things. Okay, how am I going to get there? Is completely different than the story of, man, you're so stupid. That was so dumb. Why do you even try, right? And this is the dialogue that I've had in my head for so many years, and I've worked on it, and this is the crux of the to doing work you love is you have to start working on yourself first. Most of the time, you're at a job and it goes south. There's patterns there that maybe you've noticed from a previous job that's gone south that just isn't doing that well. And sometimes, it's easier to pop to another job, different department, to just power through. Oh, I hate that word. Such a bad way to look at a career, to power through it. And so what we have to do is we have to look at, okay, if I am not happy in this job and I don't want to power through it, then I have to understand what makes me tick and where should I go next. And so your life's work is about doing things that energize you, about doing little crafts that can help you build confidence, to do little side projects that help you unlock little things inside of yourself that you didn't expect. I have a dream for many years to be an author, and I'm a good writer, but not a great writer. My parents were from Germany and Iceland. They were born there. So when they came to America, they were very young. My dad moved from Germany, war-torn Germany, when he was 12. So it was like, I think, mid-50s. And then he moved to Australia for a few years. This family struggled there, so he moved to America to be closer to his mom's brother. And my mom came over, and she's from Iceland, and she moved over. She was just going to stay a year. Met my dad when she was 17. So I think he came over at 17. They met when he was 18. They met at learning to speak English night school, and so a long-winded way of saying I didn't have a lot of school help. I didn't have that, oh, this is how you structure a sentence. Oh, try using words like this. Or, oh, okay, I see what story you're trying to tell, but it's not fully coming out. And this has been I remember when I was 19 in college, it was an art class, and it was critical art critique, something along those lines. And so we had to pick a piece of art and critique it, and explain what we saw in it. And when I handed in my paper, I got it back, and about halfway down the first page, I think it was a 5-page paper, it was just filled with red marks. And I'm 19 at this point. I had to do remedial English to get into this college. And so I'm sharing this with you because this has been a passion and struggle of mine for many years. It's taken me, probably into my 30s to be able to just write decently, to get my point across. And now I'm in my mid 40s, and I finally am a good writer. And like I said, I'm not great, but the reason that I'm sticking with this is because I love it. I love doing this work, and it's helped me in my career. Right now, I'm in the design department for a Fortune 100 company. I was able to do this because I got laid off from a job. My degree's in marketing, by the way. So I got laid off from a job. I did not want to go back to work for a corporate company. So I was going to start my own company, which I did. It had mild success. I think I had like mid, 30K, per year. But that, that's with me spending money on other things, trying to find new clients. And it was a grind, and it was just starting to take off. And I felt this burnout of like, okay, like I really enjoy doing this, but it's not quite what I'm hoping for. So I had to make a shift. And so in that shift, what I did is I tweaked my LinkedIn resume, because I've been working at a co-working space, which allowed a headhunter to see that could help with UX design, user experience design, because that's what I had been doing in my company, helping people with landing pages, sales pages, websites. And so a lot of A/B testing. What that means is like you create 2 sales pages, put them side by side, and one person sees one page, another person sees another page. And what ends up happening is you can quantify through numbers is which one does better. So you start to see which one you should use, and then you start to understand your customer a little bit better. So I was able to gather all this data. It was fun. It was fascinating. But like I said, to help people with this, and going after clients, and with 2 kids at home, it was a lot. So I was like, okay, let's see. If I stay here doing this, great. But if this, company that is always looking for designers, especially at that time, would reach out, I'd be interested. And that's exactly what happened. I got a headhunter. She called me, said, hey, I got a position at this Fortune 100 company that I think you would like. And when that happened, I was like, okay, so what's going to happen now? So I did the interview. Within a half hour, they offered me the position. I also had another side hustle. I was coaching. We had a life coaching business with a partner of mine, and we would train life coaches. We'd have different we have a course, and we created that helps life coaches how to coach, how to build a business, how to market it. And so, I was kind of doing that as well. And so when that happened, this was a full-time gig, and I was like, uh-oh, what do I say? I said, okay, let me think about it. And they said, okay, please let us know within 24 hours, So I was like, okay. So I called my partner, I talked to my wife, and I said yes. And so I'm still there, and I love it. I actually really enjoy it. Uh, but I also know where I want to go and why I want to go there. And that means helping people like you who are watching this right now, listening right now, because if I can help people do work that they love, if I can help people peel away these layers, this armor, um, that's a type of life's work that this lights me up inside. And like right now, here it's my lunch hour. I'm doing this, for free because of just the passion that I have. And I know these tools that especially this tool that I'm going to give you at the end, is super valuable and is going to help you in so many ways. It's going to help you, kind of peel away these layers, build this confidence, and do that work you love. So let me ask you, we're 24 minutes in, and I'm just getting to my first bullet point. I've kind of covered some of them already, but what do you dream of? What dream do you have? And, and this is important because there are things that ping you. There are people that you watch, a little bit of jealousy that occurs when you see other people in your office, when you see other people online. It's a little part of your North Star that's shining for you. Now, I'm not saying the jealousy part is your North Star. What I'm saying is it's shining a light inside yourself. That light is showing you, okay, this is something that you covet. This is something that you feel energized by. It could be investing in, Bitcoin. It could be in other cryptocurrencies. It could be writing a book. It could be, creating a best-selling journal. It could be being an artist. It could be, selling necklaces on eBay. It doesn't matter. It could be switching your career from, maybe being in finance to being in tech. You have that ability, but you have to understand what that vision is. Why do you want to do that? If you see somebody else out there, if you see an author that you follow, if you see a YouTuber that you watch, and okay, like I see what they're doing, I see how they're doing it. I could do that. If you have these little pangs, if you feel that, then that means that's a guiding star. It's part of your stars that you're trying to get to, your North Star you're trying to get to. Like I said, I'm in my 40s. I was hoping that, I'd be, doing these type of things in my 30s because I would understand what my North Star was. Well, I just been testing ideas. So in my late 20s, I wanted to be a writer, right? Because that's a big goal of mine, and I still do. But how do I get there? How do I create these steps to get there? Well, from whoever I've watched and seen, these people have a platform. The ones that make it in writing, that become successful in creating courses and being a coach to other people. They have a platform. They share ideas for free. Those ideas then can be spread to other people, like this video, right? So I'm going to be posting this on YouTube, and I'm going to be sharing this with the people that asked for it, that signed up. And then that's going to be spreadable. Hopefully people are like, yes, this guy Carl speaks to me. And then most people won't, right? Like, that's the thing is, I'm not going to speak to everybody. But what my point here is, I'm creating stepping stones, and maybe my expectations is like, oh yeah, if I was 32, I would have told you, yes, I would have had my own business. I probably would have been a coach. I would have been a best-selling author by now. Well, I'm a coach. I do get paid for coaching, but I'm not a best-selling author. I don't have an online program as of yet, and that's soon to come. But what I'm saying is I see how to get there. I see where my North Star is, and I see what I want to accomplish, and I see why I want to do it. And that's so important, is understanding your why. And then when you have that clear vision, you can then start to create habits and routines around making that a reality. For example, being a writer. What does it take to be a writer? Well, guess what? The number one thing is write. Write every single day. What does it mean to make jewelry? Well, make jewelry. Learn from other people. Study them. This is the amazing part about the internet. We've got YouTube, we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got all kinds of these online tools, and we can learn. But then it also means reaching out to people, saying, hey, I love this piece of jewelry that you've that you've developed. I love this blog post that you've written. Then guess what? You're doing it. You're setting yourself up to head towards your goal, your vision of where you really want to go. And that is a beautiful thing, because that's where energy comes from. This is a really important point. So if anybody's taking notes, the things that you do that energize you are showing you where you want to go. That is so important. If you notice when what your attention goes to, whether it be crafting, whether it be writing, whether it be sports, whether it be mountain climbing, if you notice where it's going, then you can do more of that. Now, the key part here is, this is for the people who are thinking about creating that side hustle and trying to level up your career. Like, this is my side hustle, right? Like, I see other people, I see what they do. I think it's possible for myself. I have the vision. Like, I'm in the probably 50-50 scale of introvert to extrovert. So after this is done, I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to be tired. But guess what? I've got to go back to my 9 to 5, and I've got to keep working. But it's worth it to me, because of my vision that I see, that I understand that this is possible and this is what I'm hoping to accomplish. Now, the key part of all this is we have these expectations, we have these goals, and this is where a lot of us get tripped up. We try something, it fails, maybe not necessarily even, I don't even like the word fails. It just doesn't go according to our expectations. And because of that, we stop, we lose that momentum, and then we try to gain it back. And this is a age-old issue for humans with working out, right? Like, we get, oh yeah, I'm all excited. It's January 2nd. This is the year I'm going to get in shape. And then that first week or so, we're all gung-ho, and then the energy wanes and it slows down. And then by February, you're back to your normal routine. And so, as James Clear likes to say, we've got to stack these habits. We've got to build the routines that create these stepping stones so we can get to our North Star, or at least get closer to it. And I'm coming back to the point of, we have these expectations, right? And we say, oh, it didn't work out the way that I want. If I'm honest with you right now, I was hoping more people would join this call, but that's okay. It is what it is. Like, people are busy. This is the middle of the day. People have jobs. is hard for people. And that's why I said, hey, I'm recording it. And it's funny, like, I think 12 people said, 9 said they could come. And then there was like 5 that said that they wanted to come. And I was like, okay, like if I get half that, right? But, my expectations is like, okay, like I was hoping for more. I'd hope that more people would be excited about this, but it's not that they're not, but it could be that they're just busy. So what I'm saying is I have to see my expectations and say, was that legitimate? And now it's not. And that's okay. And I think that's the key is if you try something and it doesn't go according to your expectations, that's going to be okay because you're learning from it. If you write something and you send it to a publisher or small magazine and it gets rejected, it doesn't mean you're a terrible writer. It just means it wasn't a good fit for them. If you create a live event like this and only a couple people show up, that's okay. It just at the timing and everything, it just wasn't where it should be. And so that's when you can say like, this is that mental flexibility of like being quickly able to say, okay, that didn't go according to plan, but that's okay. And, this is where that self-coaching comes in. It's okay, Carl. What you're going to do is you're going to bring your A game anyway. You're going to do the best damn recording that you can, and you're going to make it amazing, and then you're going to share it. And maybe people then say, oh, wait, I've got to attend this next one because I want to ask Carl some questions. I've got to, jump in and make sure I'm there because if I do, then I'm going to learn more from him. So this is my first one of these, and I'm surprised the technology is working as well as it is. I'm hoping my video camera's recording this right now so I can post this on YouTube. But you see what I'm saying, right? You see that this is, I have expectations too. Like, it'd be great if like 1,000 people joined and was like, Carl, yes, we want this, we want to learn from you. But that's not how it works. You've got to show people that you're going to keep showing up every single day. And that's what it's about. And that's why I do what I do. And I show up. And my expectations sometimes, get dashed, but now I'm learning. I'm like, okay, this is my first one. Like I should have realized like, oh, I don't need to have a ton of expectations for this. I'm just learning a lot. Like I like to talk, but I don't know if I could talk for a whole hour and I'm already like 30 minutes in and I'm still talking and it's still working. So this is fun. And I see Martha, she's on mute, but laughing in the background. And it's good to see her smiling face. And so, as you're looking for ways to, add things to your strengths and try to get a little better at something, don't set your expectations of like, yeah, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to do it next year. No, start off with one blog post a month and post it on Medium, post it in LinkedIn, post it on Facebook and see who you get, who's responding. And then when they do respond, let's say you have a family members and friends and a couple of them say, oh, I like that point. Then talk with them, engage with them. And, and learn like, okay, what did you like about it? Or what are you working on? And that's the stuff that you can really find. That's how you can find ways to grow and find ways to really expand what you're trying to do. And just like I did, creating that company and then getting a Fortune 100 company to bring me on. Anyone can do this. Anyone can, you can study something for 6 months, start a company and try to get some clients and then use that as leverage to get into another company. That's completely possible. I did it. You can start a side hustle that turns into a full-time career, a full-time company. Millions of people have done it. I keep watching, Chris Gillibo, and he has this really cool podcast called Side Hustles, and people are doing, this one guy, he uh, uh, does voiceovers, and he loves the idea of doing voiceovers for other companies. So he just joined Fiverr. I think there's a voiceover platform now that's just for voiceover talent. And he would do commercials for them, YouTube stuff, and he'd do little voiceovers. And, he was making, I think from last I heard, like 80 grand a year off of it. And I think he still has his day job. But it's these things, these passions of like using our voice, using our writing ability, using our hands to build something. The blockchain has just been exploding because these artists are creating these little pieces of artwork, putting them on the blockchain. The blockchain is very similar to Bitcoin, where you have this, you can what's called put a token on a piece of artwork, and you can sell it, and that token is like, it's a key, right? So if this artwork is put in and you have the key, you own this piece of artwork. No one else can own it. Well, that's exploding. So if you go into Photoshop and you create artwork, you could be doing that, and that's just, let's say you did an hour a night on that. Let's say you posted one piece a week for a whole year and started to gain a little following. That's how you can do stuff that you love. And maybe you want to keep your day job. Maybe you like that. And maybe you just use this side income to help you, put money aside for retirement. There's so many different ways to level up. But I think coming back full circle, man, I've been talking a lot. I think I'm going to take a sip. I hope everybody's doing well. Hey, Martha, do you have any questions, or what are you enjoying right now? Here, let me, hold on one second. Let me take off my, I got my AirPods in. I'm going to disconnect them so the camera can hear you. Hold on. It's still, 1 second. I disconnected. I have to put these back. Make sure you're coming out of my speakers. Now, try to say something now. Are you on mute? I think you might be on mute. No? Okay, hold on. Let me check my audio. Make sure. Input, output. There we go. Got it. That was my fault. Okay, now try.
Okay, I put my headset to see if you can hear me a little bit better.
That's good. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Sometimes we put our own limitations on things, and that a little bit kind of like, I like what you talked about. Whatever energizes you is showing you where to go. And for me, I love taking classes. Like right now, I consider this a workshop. I consider this a class, but I love learning and I love taking classes. And I wouldn't call it envious, but there is a part of me, I kind of see a lot of artists that give classes online, and I take art classes and craft stuff, and I'm very immersed in the healing arts with art.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a part, and a lot of them, that's all they do. That is what they're doing for a living.
Yes.
Not their side anything, is what they're doing for a living. So they live in a house where they have all the craft stuff and all the papers and all the paints and everything. And there's a part of me that is like, oh, I would like that. I know that there's a part of me, I would like to be a teacher, or that's kind of what I wanted. I went a different route, totally different route.
Mm-hmm.
But I became a teacher, as a volunteer teacher, for 10 years.
Yep.
And I taught at a shelter with women. not with kids. I'm not really that great with kids, but I'm really good with adults and classes that were about using art to kind of dig into your issues.
Well, let me ask you,
Uh,
do you,
but
could you make that something that you could try?
well, that's the thing, and that was my question. When there's a lot of nonprofits and things, I have looked into those, but the pay has been so low that honestly I couldn't support myself.
Mm-hmm.
I just wouldn't be able to support myself.
Yep.
Now that I'm getting close to retirement, I'm also thinking about being right now I'm working for a big university, so they're putting some money into stuff. So so then it's always the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, okay, because I met people that are doing something so awesome and so valuable for community, and they're doing this and they love it, but they're telling me I'm having problems paying the rent.
Yep.
And how to balance those things, because I have been I had lived in financial struggle too, many years ago, and that's not fun either, and that's very stressful.
Yeah.
So how do you balance those things?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, balance. Okay, so in case the recording isn't quite didn't catch all that, the idea is balancing doing what you love with a day job, but eventually getting yourself to be able to make enough money from it full time. So the key part to that is it's about testing. So you're right, you don't want to jump in and say, okay, this is my full-time gig now and I make $12,000 a year. That's not going to work, right? But and this is where I'm at too, right? Like, the idea is you try things and you're testing and you're looking for ways. So right now I'm working with a client and she pays me $500 a month to coach her. And so, you know, I can probably only handle one or two clients in addition to my full-time job and family. But the idea is I'm using that as a way to hone my skill, to get better at what I do, to limit myself. I'm not going to burn myself out and be like, I take on 8 clients and, if I just add a couple more clients, I can make the leap. So the idea is scaling. And there's lots of ways to do that. So you could increase the amount of money that you charge. You could scale. So I don't know, Chris, I always forget his last name, of Wired magazine. He's the editor. Wrote a piece called 1,000 True Fans. And so if 1,000 true fans pays you $100, $100 a year, that's $100,000, right? Is that right? Yes, $100,000.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So if they pay you $100 per year, that is for 1,000 people. That's doable in this day and age, right? Now, I'm not saying that, if you want to coach in person, then it's different. So you have to have that flexible mindset to say, okay, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to train other people in the art of, what is your favorite type of art to teach?
I like collaging.
Collaging.
A lot.
Okay.
But I have studied all different types of things. But I'm not teaching. To me, it's more about the experience versus the product.
Yep.
So it's a little bit different. I'm not really teaching maybe technique, but it's more about using the method to just kind of get dig. It's kind of like what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're just doing it in a different way. The dig, because you need to dig to figure out what's going on with you.
Yep.
that's stopping you from doing what you really want to do.
So then the idea is, how can you test ideas? Right now you have a job, you have to create something and test it. You have to have an idea and say, in 30 days, I'm going to do it. So about 30 days, I think it was about 40 days ago, I was like, I'm going to do this free workshop to help people with doing work they love. Now, this might not be the thing that hits for people in my community, but we all have communities, right? You have a Facebook community, you have a LinkedIn community, you might be on other platforms, you have a personal community. If 2 of your friends out of 100 find a way to support you, maybe it's they join a workshop, or maybe you try something. And okay, let's say you created an online workshop, you teach people to collage, but it wasn't quite the thing. No one just wanted to learn how to collage. But what if you said, hey, collaging to help you reach more people in your business. Now you're tying it to something of value to them. Now it's not the same as just teaching collage, but like anything, there has to be value that you bring to others that people are willing to pay for it. And that's the market, right? Now, if you're willing to do that, then you can start to find ways to make that money and not live at the poverty level. But you have to figure out how that will work. There are people that teach art inside of corporations to help them get their creativity muscles going. So that could be a thing. You teach art classes to corporate clients. I'm not saying that's what you do, but there's more money in that. And then eventually, if that works, you can start to set time aside to give back to the community, to, use your tools to, you could maybe create a low cost $19 version for people who, need help in this certain area. How do you do that? How do you bring more creativity to your life, in your career? How do you do that, at a local shelter? But it's all about the balance, right? Okay, I know we only got like 10 minutes left. That was a great question. Thank you. Okay, so coming back to coming full circle is we have to learn how to coach ourselves through this, right? Like if we fail, if we stumble, we try things, it doesn't go as well as we hoped. Well, that's okay, because these are all just learning moments and experiences. But it's about the journey that you're on, and it's about you trying things and learning and growing. Because I deep dived into gratitude a little over 5 years ago, I was going down a dark path because of my father passing, one of my best friends. And I decided to go back to a gratitude journal. And I had dabbled in it before, and it worked. It helped me, but I didn't really feel like I didn't peel away any layers. I didn't really discover anything because I didn't really dive deep with it. And so I decided I'm going to dive deep. I'm going to use gratitude as a way to shift how I look at life. And so I started writing journal entries that turned into little stories, that turned into a book, that turned into little bring gratitude cards, a journal, coaching clients. And the reason I'm bringing this up is it shifted how I view life. And so that project, that Bring Gratitude project, was one of the best things I've ever done for myself. And it was game changer. Now, did that business take off? Did the Bring Gratitude business take off? No, it did not. I realized I didn't want to be the gratitude guy. And that's when I decided to shift to Dig to Fly, because I love the idea of digging deep into gratitude. But you can do this in many ways. You can do this for creativity. You can do this for investing. The list goes on and on. I actually started diving deep into investing, and now I have a nice sized portfolio that allows me to have the idea of, FU money, right? Like, you get to the point in life when you can say, I don't need to put up with this shit because I have enough money where if I need to, I can support myself for a long time, maybe the rest of my life. And so this is the beauty of doing things and laying the groundwork and digging deep. I studied Warren Buffett, and I was like, okay, what's he doing? And his thing was like, don't go to individual stocks. Just put your money in the S&P 500. And I found the S&P 500, and I don't know, I've been investing consistently since 2016 because I started making more money because I got the Fortune 100 company. And I just put in the S&P 500, and it's up 40% year after year, and it's compounding annually. And now, like, I'm making more money in the stock market's going to fall, but I'm making more money in that portfolio than I do off my day job because of the deep dive I did in investing. And this is the thing. And I was like, this is game changer. If everybody took time to deep dive into, one thing they're passionate about once a year, you could do more than that. You could do, 2 a year, really. If you really took that time, you kind of put Netflix aside, you put Disney Plus aside, and you focus on the things that are going to help you grow. So this is my point of the bring gratitude was like, okay, I set these little stepping stone. I kept trying. It didn't go the way I hoped, so I pivoted. And that's the thing about a career in life. We can pivot and keep pivoting. We can try things. Like Martha is like, I want to teach art, but how do you do that allows you to make money from it? And at some point, I won't need to make money from doing this. I could just do this for free and do this because I have enough money saved in investments. Now, I'm not there yet, and I hope to make this into something that people are willing to pay for, because then it's showing me they value it, right? So if I do this free call, I've done a paid workshop just like this, and people, about the same amount of people signed up, paid for it. About the same amount of people actually showed up, but that's what turned into my paying client. And so I'm testing different things. I'm doing free, I'm doing paid, I'm trying different things, I'm working on building my community. Okay, we got 5 minutes. What I wanted to share with you, because this, and I got maybe through half my notes and we're already an hour in. But I love doing this. I love, even just talking to a camera and, giving some nuggets. What I really wanted to focus on was the idea of creating your inner coach and developing how you talk to yourself, because that is what's going to really help you create momentum that will allow you to go after new projects, new ideas, and keep adding to your resume. Okay, so what I want you to do, and I have a little rate it sheet, and I'll send it out to everybody. But basically, it's a very simple process I want you to do at the end of the workday, end of your day. I like the end of the workday because you're not too tired. If you can set let's say you work 9 to 5, whether it be 7 to 3 or whatever it is, that last half hour, that last 15 minutes, you can actually do this in 2 minutes. But the idea is, look back on your day. What did you do well? Ask yourself, what did you do well? In Martha's case, it would be showed up to a workshop about doing work you love. That's one, right? Like you took the time to learn from somebody else. Maybe you watched a YouTube video. Maybe you want to be a designer and you want to get into design. You watched a YouTube video. Instead of watching Netflix, you watched a 20-minute video of, how to create a logo. Whatever it is, right? You're taking that time. Now, the thing is, as you're doing these things, watch how does it make you feel? How as you're writing them down. And then the more you do these things, the more you notice what you've done well, you're building confidence. You're showing yourself, oh, I did this. Oh, that was interesting when I tried this. Oh, I did watch that logo making. It didn't light me up as much as I hoped, but I did it, and you're like, okay, let's pivot a little bit. Let's pivot. Let's try, maybe book design. Maybe, there's lots of ways, maybe it's chess, right? There's so many different ways to make money, and you might not make money off these things or even try to, but you're leveling yourself up. You're peeling away the armor. You're showing you're seeing more of your strengths, your passions, and then the things you value. And so write 3 down. What you did well, and why did you do it well? Try to do well first. Add the why later. It gets a little harder with the why, but it helps because it deepens that experience of, oh, I did that well. Why did I do that well? And you really start to understand more about yourself. Then ask yourself, what can you improve and how can you improve it? So I've been working on these notes for, to make sure I'm giving you really high quality content that you can use and take away and use in your career. And you can start this right away, right? And this is what I want you to do is just look, okay, you did the well. And this is what you're setting seeds up of, like, I did things well today. Now, what can you improve? That's the thing. And how can you improve it? So ask yourself that. Could be something small. Maybe I could work out in the morning. I could do yoga before I start my day. I could take a walk during lunch. So maybe you have lunch from 12 to 12:40 and a walk for 15 minutes, and then you're back by 1 o'clock. Maybe that will help energize you. Maybe writing, right? Like, okay, write. Every night I write something. Even if it's terrible, I write. I keep trying. I get feedback from my community. I get feedback. I've hired editors. I hire people who can help me. And you can learn from them, and you can keep trying these things. And then put a rating on it. And this is the really crucial step. Rate your day. How did it go? Did you give yourself a 6? Did you give yourself a 9? Because what I want you to do is, I want you to be the captain of your life. I don't want other people to put numbers on you in your day. And this is what we often do. We allow other people's judgments dictate how we feel. You got to stop that. It's toxic. It has to come from within. You have to see and be okay with what you do, how you feel about yourself. Nobody else, just you. Did you take a small little step today to do work that you love? That's it. Put a little rating on it. Give yourself a 6 or a 7, because what you'll start to do is you'll start to see patterns again and again. Oh, okay, I did this well, I did that well. This is what I could improve. Oh, okay, I gave myself a 6 here because wasn't the type of day that I hoped it would be. And when I first started doing it, I was giving myself 5 and 6s and 7s. And now I'm consistently giving myself a 9. And now I'm thinking about adding 9.2 because I want to understand, am I making progress? Am I getting to my 10? And that, to me, I'm already at a 9, so I feel like I'm winning right there. So whoever's out there listening to this, try it at the end of your day. Do a little rating. What did you do well? what could you improve? And then out of 1 to 10, how would you rate your day? And do that for a whole week. Try it. See how you feel. You're going to have more energy. You're going to feel more inspired. You're going to start to be the captain of yourself. You're not going to let other people dictate how you feel. That's so important because this is your life. You've got to do stuff you love. You can't let other people dictate it. That's it. We're 2 minutes over. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here. I am so glad you could be here. Thank you, Martha. Thanks for a great question.
Thanks. It was really informative, and I always enjoyed your talks. And just so that you know, I love your little gratitude cards and your gratitude book. I really do. So I'm glad you did it. You know, maybe it wasn't a bestseller or whatever, but
I learned.
I really love it, and
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you that you went ahead and you did what you wanted to do.
Yes, exactly. And I learned so much from it. And now I'm like, okay, what's my next step, right? Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're paving the way for some of us that want to do maybe something like that and just kind of share it with the world. And because I always wanted to create a stamp, you know, like what the United States Postal Service.
Yeah.
So, you know, those little things, but you went ahead and did it. So thank you for paving the way for us.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for asking a great question. I appreciate it. Bye. Bye, everybody. Thank you.